As we bring into you a new day, as we bring into you a new earth, a new life, a new world, we say unto you that you must remember the good times, remember the good. You may remember the bad, but not dwell upon it indeed. For when one dwells upon the past, when one thinks about the misfortunes, when one thinks about the pain, the sorrow, the fear, the mistrust, this is when one is trying to bring oneself into resonance with that which is not love, which is not caring, which is not oneness. For when one is separated from the one that they love the most, which is the Father, which is the Mother, which is the divine heavenly family in which we are sprung from, one begins to think that one will never return. And when this returning becomes a reality, this is when one begins to fear that reality, in that they feel as if when they go back, they will never be let free. For what one must understand is that individualization comes with a synchronization of form and matter. And that synchronization of form and matter come forth with the integrity and the ingenuity of two. For when two decide to become one, that is when that one can decide to individualize itself. And when that one decides to individualize itself, that is when that one, in essence, disrupts its own field in order to forget that it was the two that came together to become one. For in the merging of tides, in the merging of the seas, what one will see and know and understand is that this immaculate conception that comes forth in mind, matter, spirit, form, matter becomes the key. Matter, or the filament in which one is created of, becomes what is you. For when you are individualized. And when you are individualized, you are in essence like a stamp on a piece of paper. For the stamp is just formatted in order to create a shape or a form. It is the ink or the essence that lines this shape that then stamps itself upon the surface of a 2D flat reality that creates the creation indeed. Does the stamp or the ink think, where did my creation go? No, it's created and it's let go. In fact, the ink could very well be somewhere else, because once the ink is let go from the main central ink center, the ink will never return. What does return is the ideal, or the shape, or the form, realizing that it is ink, that it is a stamp, and that it is on paper. Because you are not the ink, you are not the stamp, and you are not the paper. You are the awareness or the witness that is inserted into and unto this creation upon birth. For what you must see and know and realize is that your creation is not you. The creation is as dead can be. Your creation is within the mind. Your creation is within the mind. We will repeat this. Your creation is within the mind. All of the dimensions of reality, all of the features of reality are all created within the brain that sits within the mind, that sits within the head. For what you must see is that the mind fills the entire head. The fluid that is within the head is part of the mind. This cerebral fluid that floats about within the mind carries consciousness. This is what many would call the blood of Christ. For what you must understand and know is that the cerebral fluid that enters into and unto the brain is what the consciousness is created from. For everyone has different fluid within their bodies. Look at it like this. The stamp stamps the ink pad. The stamp stamps the paper. That is then filled with fluid. That fluid runneth from a goblet of fire. That goblet of fire is, in fact, the goblet of God. The goblet of fire is the goblet of God and sits between the middle and ring finger of God, the stem of it. The fire burns, and as it burns gold fluid into the stamped figurine on the paper. As the gold fills this shape, it brings about form, it brings about matter, and it brings about a reality where one believes that it is the shape, it is the color of the shape, and it does not know that it is the gold fluid that runneth from the goblet of fire that God holds. For what one must understand is that the fire and all of the elements that create this reality come from God. For what one must understand is that when God sits upon the throne of the heavenly realms, God holds this in the right hand. To the left of God is nothing but space, nothing but ethers. But God becomes form in order to create form. For God is similar to that which you are, in that two decided to come together to create that God. And that God is what many of you would call Archeon. Archeon are beings that can create, beings that look much like man, beings that create using the essence of their mind, their cells, their blood. The two beings that come together to create the Archeon are the archangels and the thrones. As these two come together, they create this being of light, this being of knowledge, this being of hope, and this being that is quite loving indeed, but still carries judgment. For what creates the archangels and the throne is that which is the mother. Many say Mother Mary. What Mother Mary represents in the human being is the left side of the brain, the right side of the body. For what you must understand is that as Mary enters into and unto the body, she brings forth life. For without the mother, one cannot be animated. Without a connection to the Father, one would be dead. So the Father brings forth, believe it or not, the feelings and the emotions. The mother brings forth the knowledge or wisdom. For when we begin to work with women, when we begin to work with men, we must make sure that the father and the mother are balanced within each being. For when one is unbalanced, they cannot be happy. Many would say that the mother and father represent things like serotonin or dopamine within the mind. They are not those, but they trigger those chemicals indeed. For chi would be the spirit. Chi would be the witness that lies within. For it is hard to explain the witness indeed, for the witness is liquefied. The witness is illuminated. The witness is eyes, but it is not one eye. It is the fluid within the body, because the fluid carries consciousness. And as the fluid pulses through the entire body, it witnesses everything. The fluid witnesses it all. For understand and know that when one can begin to detoxify oneself of heavy metals, dyes, toxins, blue metals, blue toxins, one can bring about a semblance of change in one's life that is quite miraculous indeed. For eating red foods, drinking red drinks, running red through one's veins is something that will bring about a purification that one has not felt since the moment they were born. For in one reality, the blood is red, the other reality, the blood is blue. For what you must realize is that there is the internal and the external. The internal can be accessed through the closing of one's eyes and looking inward. The external can be witnessed by leaving one's eyes open, laying on one's back, and looking up. For as you can see, the external is indeed above us. The external is above us. For what you must understand and know and realize is, one is upside down. In all reality, what we must come to realize is that there is no way to be tipped one way or another or be in an incorrect position, for we are like a nautilus, like a compass. For the compass is always going to be pointing south in your case. The head is south, the feet. The left foot is north. For many times you will see someone with their leg out. This is an imbalance indeed, but can very easily be brought into balance.